Hi, my name is Alma. I had a near-death experience March evening of the 8th, 9th, 2012. I've just had my 4th year anniversary. I basically died due to depression. Um, that is my theme. I had been hit by a car September 2003, which was the Great One, the Great Spirit's way of having me experience years of suffering and illness through the body. I avoided most of my life because it was a very sad life at times due to an early childhood experience. And I was a very depressed person, although I accomplished a lot of things. When I got hit by the car, it was my way of having time to think about what my purpose was here on earth and why I couldn't feel love from other people. I realized that I had a lot to learn being ill. I suffered a lot of physical pain. I had 2 dislocated shoulders, hips, reconstructive surgery to my bladder, bowel system, no working sphincter. Both lupuses were diagnosed within a couple of years, both arthritises, 3 connective tissue diseases. I had degenerating spine disease. My whole body system was failing at about 7 years. So at 8 years, I made a pact with God that He'd take me in a major heart attack. But I have to say, those years that I was given in pain were a great gift. I was able to realize and see through just talking with this mysterious power that was now in control of my life. I was no longer in control of my life. And I gave that all to this source. I learned that I was indeed loved at times in my life, and that gave me a spark to continue to live. That's why I hung on for 8.5 years. But physically, the pain also taught me that we all go through pain, and we can learn through pain it's hard to say this, but if we learn to suffer well and to suffer not in silence, but somewhat in a silence given to this power that puts the planets into their orbits, that is such a mystery to all of us. When I finally knew I was dying, my body was shutting down, I told my daughter that I was ready to go, that I was not afraid, and I really was afraid, but not afraid. And I just recalled how 2 animals passed in my arms, childhood dogs. And so I took on their sort of courage, and I went to another realm. I stood there in complete awe because I was very conscious of just passing. I had had a major seizure. I stopped all medications from all these illnesses on January 1st as a pact with God. And by mid-February, I was in major seizures, and I passed on March 8th, 9th, like I said. And in this realm, I am just aware that it is more real than real. I am met by this huge orb of light that comes from one corner, and I'm looking around at this beauty that I cannot believe. And at the same time, I'm so happy that I've made it to a garden of heaven. I believe I'm going to be judged, and I meet this orb that tells me something audibly. I hear audibly, "You are here because you've come to me often." That also had to do with the early childhood time that I went with this source of light. And I'm being healed because I'm thinking that I'm being ready to walk down a small path to what I see as a golden gate of the entry to heaven, I believe. There was a lot of activity going on behind that gate. I could hear a lot of, I would call them souls, talking, and they were talking about us on earth and how they were preparing different events for different groups. I don't know, I'm still processing that, but it was all about loving us and helping us. So the path that was right in front of me was leading straight to that I say heaven, and I couldn't wait to get there. So I asked the great orb to the glisten of the eye of God, I said, because I thought I was such a not good person and not worth much on earth, and God could not ever come and see me, but I called it the glisten of the eye of God instead. And I asked it to judge me, that I was ready, and I even said, didn't I die with courage? And I would get just healing and instantaneous love beyond any love I ever felt, seen in a movie, told by a story in a storybook as a child or as an adult, these beautiful novels that we have on earth. It was better than any of that. It's indescribable. And I was told to look to my right and left, and I did, and I saw several souls who were just illuminated and sparkling their auras on the terrain, which was all diamond-like and crystal, beautiful white, shimmering rainbow colors as well, because of the light from the orb on the ground. At one point, I looked down and I could see that I was shimmering, and it was the first time I realized that I was worth something to this great source who had come to meet me. Even if it was just the glisten of the eye of God, I was so in gratitude, and I wanted to stay. The love was overwhelming, but I wasn't moving. I had 4 relatives to my right and to my left, maternal grandmother, paternal family, grandmother and family here. And I asked the orb again, maybe you didn't hear me. And I thought, it didn't like the word, I was a bad person, you can judge me now, so I better change my wording and say I was not a good person, so you can judge me now. And all it did was give me more love, and then a second light came out of that bright luminous white, and that white luminous dimmed just a little bit, which is what God does for us. God just takes a step back and allows us to be the skyscraper architects and the bridge builders and the rocket ship makers and all these things that we think we are as human beings. And that one was golden, and I thought it was Jesus immediately, and it gave me more love. And then it went back, retreated back. I had a life review, which was extraordinary. It showed me things about myself I'd never thought about myself, which was that I was actually good and loving and worth loving. And I came back. I was surprised. I was no longer depressed for the first time in over 50 years. And this is my story. There is nothing to be afraid of. There's going to be a lot of things to do when we get there to help Earth. Thank you very much.